Continue. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome again to our next gathering, our breakfast club. Good to see you all. I'm sure we'll have some other folks who will be joining us shortly. So just quickly, just a couple of quick reminders, and then we're going to get into our regular agenda. So I think, first of all, about our holiday schedule. So right now we're scheduled for the 15th, 22nd, and 29th, and tentatively the 6th, 13th, and I have a question mark about the 20th, and then no meeting on December the 27th. Does that work for everybody? What's your thoughts?
How do you do this?
Well, we got somebody who thinks it's a good idea.
Excellent question.
Now we're called the library, no helper. So anyway, that's the tentative holiday schedule, if that works for everybody.
Steve, say again, the only Monday we're not meeting is the 27th, or was there another Monday?
No, I think it's just the 27th. Unless
Okay.
anybody sees a problem.
What 10s and 20s do you need? 10s and 20s? Huh? Okay.
December
Two.
27th, Christmas, between
Yeah.
Christmas and New Year.
So
Yep.
you need 3 10s.
Okay, somebody's talking, need to mute, please. Okay, so moving on quickly. So a couple of other quick announcements, just a reminder that if you're looking to know who's involved with the task force, that you can, there is at the top of our page, of our meeting page here, every week is a, excuse me, is a contacts link. And you can find those links. And then also, if you have not, once again, I'm going to ask you to please fill out our Google form so we have your contact information. A lot of it, we're of course gathering from the registrations, but it would be really helpful if you took them just a minute to fill out that form. And that again is then live on that link. Next thing quickly is that several of you have asked about how can I be a sponsor for AZBSN. So I have now added a link on this page and will be on future meeting pages with a link to our information about how to become a sponsor. And I'll be glad to, I know a couple of you I owe a follow-up contact and will do so. But if any of you are interested, you can go to our information page about how to become a sponsor. And let's see, what else do I need to tell you real quickly? Holiday schedule, I told you about that. Last thing is kibitzing with colleagues. As you know, that after this meeting, we have a informal gathering, and I have to tell you that it's going to be short this morning. I have to take my wife to a doctor's appointment, so I have to leave about 9 o'clock. So it'll be a short kibitzing this morning. Any questions about any of that before we move on?
Steve, just you were kind enough to publicize the ASU Morrison Institute State of the State meeting this morning at 8:30, and I do plan to attend that. So maybe others do. I will drop off early for that.
Okay, I didn't see that notice anywhere, so I didn't even know that.
Oh, I thought you had sent that out.
Nope, sure didn't.
Okay.
I think Oris had sent it out.
Maybe, okay. I saw it from us somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Oris.
Okay. Okay, so with that, any other quick comments before we move on to our updates, our federal and state updates? With that, Jeff, you're on.
All right, thanks, Steve. Thank you, everybody. This is a really great day. Many of you have been with me since I have started this job 2.5 years ago, and we have seen some remarkable good things. Our first broadband grant, we only had $3 million. I should say only. We had $3 million, and we had 3 very impressive construction projects that were completed and are doing what they're supposed to do. And this says a lot about picking the right partners in the right communities. And we had 4 planning grants. On the not so positive side, we had a pandemic and we had to really adjust to what we do around here. There were a lot of different groups working on broadband. We're all working together now. So even out of a bad thing, we were able to pull together. And I have a lot of respect for Steve and Mark and the folks in the group who pulled this group together at the darkest hours of the pandemic and helped us work through some stuff. We got hotspots delivered into kids in some rural schools and really did some stuff that was a little bit outside the box of what we're supposed to do. Today, we're going to announce something that is inside the box, and that's going to be our Arizona Broadband Development Grant. This will be posted to the ACA Broadband website. It could be as early as 9. I'm not in charge of hitting send, but that's what I was told. The Arizona it's azcommerce.com/broadband. I'll put something in the chat.
We'll also send out a notice, Jeff, when we get it.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate that. Our grant's $100 million, a little bit more than 3. This is exciting stuff. Of that $100 million, the funding comes from the American Rescue Plan Act, so they're federal dollars. There are a few more red tape issues with this that we would have if it was just straight funds, but you know what? Someone's going to give us $100 million. We're going to say thank you, and we're going to figure this thing out. Of that $100 million, $75 million is targeted to rural counties, $25 million targeted to urban. Urban is defined as Pima and Maricopa. When I say Pima and Maricopa, I don't necessarily mean downtown Phoenix. I mean, we're definitely looking at some of the opportunities. Obviously downtown Phoenix is certainly welcome to apply, but we have some areas in Maricopa, like Gila Bend and others that are really pretty darn rural. We were asked to make that distinction, rural and urban, and this is how we decided to do it from the folks at the legislature. And we believe with $100 million, we're going to do some great stuff. We're going to bridge the digital divide. I'm speaking with Wes earlier. Connecting kids in their homes is incredibly important to us. Telemedicine, Janet Major and the group has been very active with that. Getting connectivity to these rural communities and economic development. I believe that if we can get the access to the internet at or better than we have in Phoenix, you will see these small communities revitalize themselves. And I absolutely believe if we can make this happen, that will happen. And we're already starting to see that in some of the communities we invested in first time around. So this is exciting stuff. The grant itself, I'll let you guys read through it, but the maximum you can get for a rural grant is $10 million. And believe me, if you're getting $10 million, it better be a pretty impressive project because we've got a lot of demand. Just to give you all some perspective, the NTIA grant, which this is modeled on to a certain extent, they had $288 million. They had $2.5 billion in applications. So we expect this to be incredibly oversubscribed. The good news is that there's a lot more money coming. So if somebody isn't taken care of this time around, there's going to be other opportunities. We're going to be receiving $190 million from the Treasury Department and quite a bit more money. I call it silly money as part of the infrastructure bill. And we're still trying to digest how much that is and how we can use it. So this is the first of several phased in programs, both infrastructure and grants that we're going to see in the state that are going to transform our state in the next couple of years. So I'm super excited. On the urban grants, the maximum that can be taken down is $5 million. Obviously, it's a lot less money and we don't want to blow it on 1 or 2 projects. I shouldn't say blow it, but allocate it on 1 or 2 projects. So we're super excited about that. The restrictions on the grant, many of them are gleaned from the source of funding and some of the federal stuff. We try to keep it as open as possible. We want everyone to apply. We want people to throw their hat in the ring and do this. And whether they're selected this time or next time, it's our intent to spread that money around the state to all 4 corners of the state and everywhere in between. So we're excited. The deadlines are tight and we're not going to apologize for that. The reason the deadlines are tight on this is because there's a lot of money flowing into this industry right now. If you're trying to build a house in the Phoenix area, you see supply chain issues, not just with the ships offshore, but the supply of lumber and things that are made here in the States. These are things that are all coming to a head in broadband. The ability to get fiber, to do construction. If you're lucky, it's 9 months out. Trying to get contractors and crews to do the work. It's very competitive. The price of these projects has gone up. We believe the quicker we can start this and the quicker we can complete it will give us a strategic advantage. So the deadline for the grant is December 10th. It's a little less than a month from now. So we're going to really be pressing people to get these things in. I've been talking about this now for a year. So hopefully we have some pretty fully formed projects. I'm going to steal the Mark Goldstein word, shovel worthy. Shovel ready is great. And many will have that, but shovel worthy. The turnaround time on these 2 years is typically what we do. You have the ability, if we had to extend it a year, but we're really going to press people to get this done quickly. The quicker we get these done, the quicker these projects are less expensive and get the need to the communities. So again, I'll let you all read through the grant later today. You can start looking probably at 9. It'll be sometimes between 9 and noon is what I'm assuming from what I've heard. You're going to see lots of information come out from the governor's office, publicity stuff on Twitter and from the ACA. If you like this stuff, like it, retweet it, talk about it. We want to get as many applications as possible. And we want to get the best applications. Be really clear. This is competitive. It's going to be incredibly competitive. We're going to have people bidding on the same cities, the same projects, how much you spend, your ability to deliver. These are all going to be really drilled down in some of these competitive areas. From our standpoint, that's a good thing. We had great success with our first 3 because we partnered with the right people in the right communities. And that's really the attitude here. This is not a planning grant program where you're going to get money to plan. All the counties and all the cities have an abundance of ARPA dollars. If broadband is important to them, they will come up with the money to hire a consultant, just like Navajo County and so many others have recently. I'm here in Yuma, Arizona today, and I'm going to be meeting with their board of supervisors in a little bit. As part of that meeting, the Yuma County is going to allocate $20 million of their ARPA funds specifically for this project with Allo Communications for Yuma. Other communities, Mojave County is allocating money, Yavapai County is, Pinal County is. These are all projects that are being funded not just with private money, not just with state money, but with county money. So it's important that you work with the counties. When it comes to the grants, I can't stress this enough. We want this to be something where the communities themselves and the counties have buy-in. Believe it or not, I actually read those letters that people write about the project because we are going to have competitive situations. If everybody in a county says this is who we want to work with, that's a pretty powerful thing. So definitely go out and get those letters. Again, we believe that this is going to happen quickly. The infrastructure money, the amount of money that's flowing in this industry, you're going to have construction crews locked up for the next 2-3 years. So we got to go quickly. So no apologies here. Let's get this done. This is fantastic for Arizona. I don't want to get too in the weeds on this call. I'd like y'all to read the grant before we do that. But just know that this is our intent, is to make stuff happen quickly here in Arizona. Any quick questions I can answer off the top of your head?
Jeff, a couple of quick things. Is there a match requirement?
There is a match requirement. You again, read about it in the grant. These are all requirements for the grant itself. The reason we have a match requirement is we want to make sure that the groups and the carriers that are putting into this, I believe it's 20%, Steve, if I remember off the top of my head, have skin in the game on these projects. Getting things done in these communities in terms of rights of way and zoning and all that is important. And we believe that if the communities themselves are invested, the counties themselves are invested, that they'll make stuff happen quicker.
So Jeff, would you be willing to, if we can get it together quickly, to do a webinar for this group and anybody else who wants to participate to provide more detail on the grant? Would you have some time to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look at my schedule. As you can imagine, right now, it's a little nutty.
Sure.
We've also got our KPMG statewide middle mile plan coming out. So we're in the final throes of that. And, as you all had mentioned earlier in the call, for those who didn't join, we are hiring a assistant state broadband director. We're also hiring some administrative help to do this. These are positions that are available right away. They're on Indeed.com. Also having discussions around the fact that there is a lot of money for digital equity in the infrastructure bill, and trying to come up with a structure and an organization to do that. So there's a lot of opportunity to work on these things and some really great paid positions here at the state. So if you're interested, please do take a look and apply.
So Jeff, I know we've had some conversations about that federal money that's coming down for digital inclusion and having a digital inclusion plan. Maybe we need to talk offline about how that's going to happen, because as you know, we've been talking about getting involved with that. So do you have any thoughts about that?
So it's early. There's $100 million for digital inclusion in the infrastructure bill, $5 million to essentially come up with a plan and put that together, and then $95 million to implement. And it is a greenfield opportunity. Obviously, we've talked to Nicole and experts in the field, and we're trying to come up with the best structure and program for that. I certainly have my opinions, but this is not my area of expertise. So I'm going to defer to the folks that know more about this. But ultimately, this is an exciting initiative and a way we can grow our organization as well.
Okay. Any other questions for Jeff?
Well, I have a quick observation, and other than thanking Jeff for doing this. My experience at the operational level of this, like the school district level, county level, I don't think we need a whole lot more consulting and study. I think the answers are out there. There's a suite of answers out there. So I'm just hopeful that a lot of this won't get caught up in the minutia of counties wanting to study something again. And what I hope we can get is more facilitation rather than study.
Wes, I think this is an action grant. We're moving forward with projects. Again, maybe not shovel ready, but shovel worthy, and this money needs to get out the door to the right people and build. And I can't stress that enough, how much competition in terms of resources, in terms of getting our resources is flowing into this country right now. Just like anything else, when there's a lot of money, it bids up the cost. So yeah, absolutely. We're going to get things done. I mean, as I say, I'm sitting here in Yuma County. Why is the Board of Supervisors meeting today? Why is this happening quickly? Because they know they want to get this done. Yuma County is going to have 10 gigabits symmetrical to every address. That's 10 times better than my house in the Phoenix area. That will transform this county. I mean, Yuma County, I tell people Yuma is going to look like El Paso in 10 years. It's going to be huge because they're going to have a different level of infrastructure than many other border communities. So these are things that we got to move fast on. I think that the time for planning, if you don't have a plan at this point, we'll circle back if we have to. But at this point, we have to fund the projects that are ready to go and get that money out the door, because some of the great projects I've seen are fully formed. They have the carrier partner, they have the municipal and the county buy-in. I'm not going to name specific counties because we're launching a grant, but I got to tell you, there are some folks that have really stepped up. We've had education people leading counties. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's good stuff.
Well, this will be as big to our country, have the same impact that Eisenhower's highway efforts had.
I agree. This is the best thing that's happened to rural America since probably fracking. I mean,
when Al Gore built the internet.
When Al Gore built the internet. There you go, Mark.
Hey, Jeff, this is Karen. I got a question about the specifics on the project. We talked a lot about last mile and maybe some middle mile to get to those smaller communities. Is that still in the NOFO, the way that we have discussed?
Yeah. Last mile, middle mile. I mean, you could certainly do a middle mile only project, but as I mentioned before, there's a lot of competition. in this market. If you're building a program that does both, that's a really good use of the funds.
Okay. Anything else? So just a reminder, Mark put into the chat that about several resources to help with planning, one of which, and I don't see Kate on the call today, is Local First Arizona. Their Economic Recovery Center does have resources to help with community planning. So if, as Jeff mentioned, most counties do have ARPA money, and so are probably being able to fund a consultant themselves. But if that's not feasible, you might want to look at Local First Arizona, the Arizona Recovery Center.
Yeah, good point, Steve. Local First has been a great partner, and they, along with Janet and the medical side, have been huge in helping folks get grants out the door.
So Jeff, thank you. I know you got to run, and Wes, I know you're going to be heading out. Do you have anything you want to report? You and Mylan, I see Mylan's online. Anything you guys want to report before you fade into the sunset?
Well, I'll let Mylan make any comments about the final mile, because I got to open the door for Jeff so we can both leave.
Okay.
Mr. Peters, this is Fernando Roman with the Communication Works of America. I understand everyone has to leave really quickly. This money and this funding is going to be coming really quickly, especially with the holidays. December 8th is going to come faster than we all know it. I just want to make sure that before we're dispersing any grant, to any companies, are we making sure that these are high road employers, meaning that there are no recent labor law violations, no major OSHA violations, that they're employers that want to keep money in the state of Arizona? That way they're not fly-by-night contractors. We want to make sure that, we're hiring people of Arizona. That way it's creating these jobs for long-standing jobs. And we're just taking the first bidder that puts a great proposal on paper that looks good. I mean, I'm not 10 gigabytes to every customer in Yuma sounds great, but I mean, how is that even going to be possible? You know what I mean? So that's just my thoughts.
Fernando, I was going to mention that you bring up a really good point, and we definitely have requirements of companies have had to be in business and for a certain period of time. This is definitely we're not funding your startup here. These are great programs. As far as the 10 gigabits, it's a next gen technology. This is what they do. I don't want to speak for different companies, but we've had great discussions with some of your companies that your members are part of, and I know that they're going to be part of this project, and we're excited to work with you all as well. I think that this is an opportunity, as you'd mentioned, to really put Arizona's back to work.
Yeah,
Hey,
thank
Jeff,
you, sir.
One quick question. With the really short timeline, my guess is that you guys will have a pretty quick evaluation and award process. Is the target like mid-January?
Yeah, we're going to try to get that process done as quickly as possible, Karen. I mean, obviously, we're dealing with a situation where there's a lot of money flowing from the federal government, and all of our vendors are dealing with the same issues that the folks in Colorado and Nevada are dealing with, to say nothing of Maryland. So yeah, we're gonna have a really quick turnaround on that. The 10th is the date, and believe me, I'm gonna be giving up some vacation time this year.
No, I meant as far as awards. When do you anticipate having awards announced?
Beginning of January.
Okay, thank you.
And Jeff, is there a point grading system that, and then a panel or group that will review and approve? Can you briefly talk about the review and approval process?
There's always a panel that will review. I'm certainly not the decider in chief. We don't do that. We want to make sure that we have a lot of different viewpoints from different areas, folks that are familiar with not just telecom, but with the state of Arizona. There is a point scale. If you look at the grant itself, it'll give you what the individual items are that are important, that'll be graded on the point scale. I don't believe it gives the exact points, but again, eventually this is all public knowledge at the end of the day. But again, we want to work with companies and groups that have fully formed projects that are here, that are going to be here in 10 years and in 20 years. Wes had mentioned infrastructure earlier. This is like building a highway system. This is not speculative. We're not funding startups. We're funding infrastructure projects, and that's the intent of the money from the Biden administration.
So Jeff, a question to you and maybe Fernando, since you're online, is we've been hearing that there are shortages of people who can actually do the installation. Is that an issue? And I know some folks are saying we need to do some quick training programs in that space.
I know that within the companies that CWA represents, there are no labor shortages as far as the providers. We're on the ground installing fiber now. Of course, I have no power on the companies that I represent, forcing them to take that money, right? That would be something that,
Sure.
I'm trying to partnership with them and have talks with the people that are, in positions of making those decisions. But I think this is a chance to keep people employed. I can't name the company who I work for, but we are installing fiber now in rural communities. But I think this could be an incentive to get away from the pots and plain old copper and place the fiber. But as far as I know, within my company, there are no labor shortages. If it's a labor shortage, it's because they're creating the labor shortage. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Okay.
Jeff, I have a quick question. I keep hearing the term fiber optics. I keep hearing cable. Is there a place in this for a final mile CBRS-like solution?
We're technology agnostic. I mean, obviously, certain parts of the state lend itself to others. Fiber is always the preference. That being said, we have a really unique state. So, we're here to solve the problem, and ultimately work with the best vendors that have the experience. Fernando, you'd mentioned, if you guys have apprenticeship programs and things that are going on right now with the CWA, I'd love to be able to talk to the governor's office and others about that, because these are the kind of things that are going to drive this kind of expansion. We got to invest in our workforce here in Arizona, and fingers crossed we're not going to have workforce issues here, but it's a big state and there's going to be a lot of projects going on concurrently, and we don't have 3 to 5 years to wait on this stuff. We got to get this done now.
I think maybe, I'm not aware of any. There's definitely within the CWA, there's not a labor shortage. If there's going to be a shortage, it may be on the supply and demand that you guys mentioned earlier of the fiber optic itself, like the drops, the cards, because they are, unfortunately, those things are manufactured overseas. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I know there's some shipping delays with a lot of that stuff. A lot of the modems and things that, there may be delays on that, but I don't anticipate that lasting longer than, hopefully this pandemic will start coming down in 2022. And I think that's the only delay. And that's going to be a delay with any industry, any employer.
We ordered supplies for our Wi-Fi's for our new community center last month, and they're telling us April to May before they come in. So there is about a 6 months delay on devices.
Well, we're starting to see some of my broadband projects. I'm starting to see a delay in getting materials, but for the last 8 months, we've been running up on the problem of manpower also, especially in La Paz County and Apache County. So we've had manpower problems for probably the last year overall. And now we're starting to see some supply shortages in those places where they didn't pre-order the materials. So I suspect the supply shortages should get worse. The manpower shortages should get better.
Good stuff. All right, everybody. I apologize. I've got to run. I've got to go to the Board of Supervisors meeting. Please reach out if you have any questions in the interim. Actually, you know what? We're going to go through a pretty formal process with the RFP. So I'm not going to be able to answer as I normally would. So thank you for taking the time and listening to what we have to say. And thank you for all your hard work. I feel like we've all worked together to get to this point. Now it's time to close, and let's make this happen. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
thank
Jeff.
Jeff.
Okay, so Mylan, while you're on, and Wes may already be gone, do you want to talk quickly about the final mile and where we are with that?
Yeah, we got one project that's wrapping up, 4 projects underway. The next 5 have been identified, waiting on the legal paperwork to finish so we can release the RFPs. Legal process being the IGAs, attorneys reviewing our IGAs. And I already have the list of addresses for each one of them, but as soon as we have all the legal parts and pieces, then we'll release the RFPs. Everything's going well so far. So
Cool.
I was at a conference in Indianapolis this past week and spoke about the final mile. And there's lots of interest in several other states that want to do the exact same thing that we're doing. They didn't realize that delivering high-speed internet for $10 a month was even a remote possibility. And to hear that we're doing it and being successful was very, made them very hopeful. So I spent a lot of time sitting down with the state of Georgia and the state of Oregon, the state of Utah, there was 4 or 5 states there that were just really interested in how we're doing it, what we're doing, the process we're using. So it was a really good conference. It was the National Rural Schools Conference. So that was Thursday and Friday of last week.
So I got to say, we have some, as you can all hear, we have some phenomenal people doing great work here in Arizona. I really appreciate all of you. And we haven't heard from everybody yet, so we need to move on here pretty quickly. Any questions for Mylan before we move on? If not, Mala?
Yes. Do you want me to talk about the telemedicine project or everything else?
About everything.
Okay. I'll begin with telemedicine. We are starting the project with Pima County, and that's a pilot. And we're doing it with 2 libraries, Ajo and Ariwaka libraries. We will be getting a public health nurse who will be at these libraries. We have student nurses who will be coming from U of A, working. Janet Major is working with me on that part of the project, and they will be assisting the nurse on the days that she goes to these 2 libraries, taking the vitals, doing what needs to be done to get them enrolled. Maybe some of them need to be enrolled in in an insurance program if they aren't in it already. We have promoters who are trained to work in this area, in the health area. They will be helping the people who come in. We've also created backpacks, and we haven't bought the equipment yet. We're going to buy the equipment. We've decided what we want to buy. Things that go into the backpack are things like blood pressure cuff, thermometer, an iPad that actually links to a stethoscope that would take readings and transmit it in a safe manner. We are very, very conscious of being HIPAA compliant, as well as the safety and security for the patients. So the portal will be a safe portal through which it will be transmitted to the healthcare folks that it needs to go to. And it is really important because it's going to save a lot of healthcare time and issues and beds at the hospital and things like that, because patients, especially those who've been discharged after surgery, do not have to go back to the hospital for care. The care is coming to them in what form? In addition to the libraries, we also have, Pima County has 4 mobile vans, and we have antenna on the mobile vans that would help provide the internet access, so that the libraries can also do health education. While they're in the van, they would take some iPads and laptops with them and set up a tent or set up folding chairs outside the van and have classes video conference the people in, video conference a doctor or a nurse in to talk to people about healthcare. So prevention is as important, and we're trying to take healthcare to the patrons wherever they are. So hopefully this project is going to, the pilot will be successful so that we can replicate it in other areas around the state.
Hey, Mala, I got
yeah.
a question for you on the pilot project in Pima. So you're actually having licensed nurses in the library to see patients?
Yes.
Okay,
That's
so I guess that really isn't my definition of telehealth. So I was just trying to see how, I mean, is it that you have access to, you know, a medical doctor through?
Yes, we do. Yeah, because when the nurses are there, we are having the nurses connect to the doctors through the iPad that we are providing them. And they will be connecting to the doctors, talking to the patient, have the doctors talk to the patients, interpret for them, and also then be the deciding authority on whether the patron gets another iPad to take home to monitor on a daily basis, weekly basis, whatever the doctor recommends. So they would do that. We were thinking of setting up kiosks, but some of these libraries are so small, Karen, there isn't a private place for the kiosk to be set up. So we abandoned that idea. We also looked around other states and what they were doing, and there wasn't, although for the bigger libraries, kiosks was a good idea. If they could have a soundproof, secure room, that would be great, but we don't have the funds for that yet. And so we, I forget whether it's in Aho or I think it's in Arawaka, we're pitching a tent outside the library because the library doesn't have room for doing something like this. And they would have the nurse and the student assistants connect with the doctor and the patients in the tent.
Yeah, I just wanted to just clarify that component was part of the pilot because, you know, the grants for telemedicine are very specific, you know, so that answered my question. Thank you.
Yeah, yes.
And
we're working with
for interprofessional training, you know, we'll be connecting students to their mentors too. It's not literally healthcare in that sense. It's also about preparing the healthcare workforce of the future. And another exciting element in Aho is they will have a room in Aho that will be dedicated to the use of telehealth, whether that's helping manage equipment so patients can check out an iPad and participate in a breast cancer support group or access diabetes education and food logs and that kind of thing. And I think the other thing that's really important, Mala, to mention about the two pilots is, yes, we really do want to solve all of our challenges and have a successful pilot experience. And some of the things that I think are also important to mention about the first two pilots being Arawaka and Aho is there are people who have to cross a border checkpoint to access healthcare. And these two locations are on the other side of the border checkpoint. So, I mean, as far as challenges, the challenges are many, and we absolutely want to do our best to get some great data and some great experience and great stories without over impacting the library, which is one of the just one of many of the resources that we want to share.
So Janet, Mala, where's the funding coming from for this?
This is an LSTA project. It is the Library Services Technology Act. The funding is coming from the Institute of Museum and Library Services.
Okay. Okay, anything else? We need to move on fairly quickly here.
Okay.
Anything else, Mala?
Yes, very quickly, I'll let you know that Jessica Rosenworcel, the acting commissioner of FCC, has her hearing on 17th November. And the other two that President Biden has selected for FCC and NTIA, they haven't announced the dates yet for it. And hopefully we will hear from them very soon. As far as ECF is concerned, another 421 million has been committed for ECF. So there are 4 waves that have been announced so far for the first window. And a study was done by Funds for Learning, and they've come up with a number that if if we have this recurring fund every year, we will be able to support every single household, every single student and all the patrons that require it with the devices and internet connectivity. And the number that they have come up with is 4.61 billion. So they say that if we get to 4.51 billion, they say if we get that funding every year, we should be able to support. And that's not a difficult number to reach if our legislators make up their mind that they can do it. It is not impossible. The last thing I want to say is about, the last but one thing I want to say is emergency broadband benefit. Last week, another 4,000 households signed up. So 3 consecutive weeks, we've had 5,000, 5,000, and 4,000 people sign up. And we are now at 186,000 households that have signed up for EBB. So continue doing whatever you're doing. It's working. As far as Connect Arizona, that's the last one thing I'm going to say. And Connect Arizona is doing really well. We've had 1,413 calls to date, and the average call length is around 25 minutes, 22.4 minutes to be exact. And most of the sessions are tech tutoring, troubleshooting, tech tutoring, and finding e-content. That has been a great part of what our navigators are doing. There's been over 300,000 Wi-Fi map views. So that's again proof that that was a very useful service that we have. We have a Spanish-speaking navigator as well as a Navajo-speaking navigator. So I think we are doing well on that front as well. I'll put some links in my notes for some very interesting articles that I read about the infrastructure bill being more than about the money. It is connecting people together and bringing them up to bridging the gap and a lot more. And there are some more links that I found last week that were really, really interesting based on the Infrastructure Investment Act. Okay, back to you, Steve, unless there are any questions.
Thanks. Any questions from Awa? Okay.
I have a quick, sorry, Steve,
Okay,
I have
go
a
ahead,
real
Melissa.
quick one. That's Melissa. Mala, I was just curious. I was trying to write down what you just said because that was really impressive, especially like the hits on the Wi-Fi map and all of that. Do you have that documented anywhere, all the stuff that's happening?
Yes, and I will put it in my notes and you should get the notes. Oris and Henry put it together very quickly, very aggressive timeline. So they will send it to you probably the end of today or tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on. Sophia, I believe you're online. Sophia Mylan, you guys have anything more about Department of Ed?
Mylan, do you have anything else before I go?
Hey, Sophia. No, I don't have anything new. I'm boring.
Well, it must be launch day or announcement day, since I am also announcing the launch of our Office of Digital Teaching and Learning Assessment that is happening today. So it's getting sent out to schools across the state today. There is a launch event that we're doing this afternoon, partnered with the county superintendents and the Arizona SciTech Institute. We're very excited about that launch event, and we are hoping this assessment will bring to light some of the data for K-12 schools that everyone has really been wanting. This is the much more high-level, professional, detailed assessment that everyone has been wanting the entire pandemic. So we are hoping for some good participation from our schools across the state so that we can kind of set a trend for collecting this data over time and build a really good database to make decisions to support schools with broadband. So we're very excited about that. And then I did just want to mention one more time, because our website is live and I can put it in the chat, that ADEs, we also have a grant open right now for some of our ESSER dollars, specifically the third round that had for state education agencies had some rules around funding learning loss or disrupted learning, summer enrichment, and comprehensive after-school programs. So if you work with a nonprofit or an organization that works with schools on broadband or works with schools on technology, anything like that, I know there's amazing organizations in this group. I am, Kirk, going to put the link in the chat. I'm just also using it to read off some of my talking points because, like Jeff, I also can't answer any questions about this grant proposal. That's what we've been instructed to do. But please share it out. There is a guidance document on our website about how to make sure your proposal is a good one. And there is also a recorded webinar with some more directions in it as well. That closes December 10th. So definitely, if you know some groups that should get this, please, please, please send it to them. I know there's some amazing organizations here that could apply for this grant. And I hope we can fund some amazing technology organizations as well. I'm grabbing the link right now, and here it is. And like I'll just mention it one more time, just like Jeff, I can't really answer any questions about this, but there is a place to put questions and a frequently asked questions section on the grant.
Okay, anything else, Sophia?
I don't think so.
Any questions for Sophia?
Thanks, Sophia, for putting the link in there. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, this is Joy Whiting, Sophia. I just have a couple questions. Are you sending that out to the county superintendents and then asking us to forward it to all of the local schools? Or are you directly sending it to the schools?
I believe both, Ms. Whiting.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mylan, does that sound right to you? Mylan is nodding, that means I think I'm correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it should have gone out to the superintendents for, I think, 2 o'clock today.
Okay.
If you don't have it, Joy, let me know and I'll forward you an invite.
Okay, just to put this out there really quickly, please use the joy.joy. I've had some phishing malware on my Apache County schools, but I'll email you, Sophia.
Thank you, please do. And I'm sorry you've been having phishing issues.
Yeah, thank you.
Just expect more of them. Hey, I got a real quick one. This is Kirk Bush. Aaron's being kind of quiet, and Mark, you might want to chime in here too. I'd be interested to know on the, because ASU just launched their state and the region event. I'd be kind of curious what ASU's position is going to be to help promote all this with the Lighting Up the Future. I don't know if Aaron can hear me or if she's online, but maybe Mark can also chime in.
Well, ASU Lighting the Future is likely to be a grant applicant themselves for projects. I don't know what their promotion role will be. Dom at Commerce, certainly, I would expect who's active with that, Dominic Pappas, will help promote that program. Jeff's compatriot there, but really don't know beyond that.
So Kirk, that was one of the reasons I wanted to talk with Aaron and Derek outside of this meeting, specifically about that.
Can we still put Aaron on the spot now?
If she wants to be on the spot.
No, I'm happy to have a subsequent conversation. I think both the Digital Equity Institute and ASU, in collaboration with several of the groups on this call, will move forward in whatever way adds value. But the wheels are spinning, and certainly we can do whatever makes sense. And I would turn to Derek in a couple of these things, but very, very interesting. And thank you again, Sophia, for the announcement about the assessment. I think that tool, I'm a data junkie, by the way, separate and distinct from what you just asked me about, contributing to and working on that assessment is fantastic. And the data that it will give us about where gaps exist right now and where we can focus some of our efforts collaboratively, I think will be tremendously helpful.
Okay.
I couldn't agree more. I'm hoping it means a clear path forward for K-12 schools as far as education technology is concerned.
Absolutely. Kirk, what specifically did you want me to answer? I'm happy to do so if I can.
Well, no, just basically just how ASU is gonna help promote all these agendas, and if we can, put a nice cohesive messaging strategy together with all the organizations, would be awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, okay. We will definitely have that conversation, Kirk, but we need to move on because we do have a presentation this morning. But it isn't a very important issue. Derek, I believe you're online, or you were. Are you still there? Derek, are you there? I guess he's gone. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, and if there is, we don't have time for them anyway. Sorry about that. We need to move on quickly before we get to our presentation. Just quickly, we do have our leadership team scheduled for the 18th to really start mapping out where we as a task force need to be heading. So you'll be hearing more about that in the near future. Next is that AZBSN and Connect Arizona is developing a digital inclusion directory and a team network. And Cindy and Nicole, if you guys are still online, you want to talk about what the plans are with that?
Sure. I don't think Nicole's online, but I'm here. And yeah, the digital inclusion team under the task force is rolling out as an effort a searchable directory of Arizona organizations engaged in digital inclusion work. If your organization provides digital inclusion resources such as free or low-cost internet access or devices, computer skills training, technical assistance, or advocacy, we would love to have you sign in and get yourself on the directory. Kind of a way to collaborate and coordinate the different efforts going across the state, and also to the directory is meant to be a localized place where people can find resources that they aren't able to find elsewhere. So Steve's going to send out an email to AZBSN members, and I can also post the link to the sign up kind of survey in the chat so that anybody who wants to have their organization listed in the directory can do that.
Okay. And so Cindy, I saw something, I know it was kind of in draft form from Nicole about developing a quote, digital inclusion network and having some regular meetings. Do you know anything more about that at this point?
Yeah, we're thinking, well, we're curious to know how AZBSN and the Leadership Council and what we're going to discuss on. We want to coordinate that sort of team or a separate entity as part of AZBSN. It's kind of in a fledgling state, so we're interested to hear what goes on Thursday and just continue to create that space.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Do we have anything else? We've heard about the telehealth. Is there anything more, Cindy, about what's happening with the group that's been meeting with the United Way of Southern Arizona on seniors?
Yeah, no, it's I haven't heard anything from them, so it's on my list to reconnect with them this week and just see where they want to go with that group.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Can I make just 2 quick announcements? I put them in chat, but it's Rural Health Week, and we've got events all week long. And then the other data piece that I've spoken to Cindy and Mala about with regards to digital inclusiveness and the telehealth, we're making these great box to go type things that not only can do vital signs with students operating the technology, but is also available for patients to check out, patrons to check out. And one thing that I mentioned to Mala and the head director for Pima County is we really do want that data. We really do want to know not just who's checking out the routers and the hotspots and the iPads, but without invading anyone's privacy, there needs to be a way in which we can track who is using these digital assets and what they're using them for. I would hate for us to miss out on getting that information back. And so that's something that we still need to give some thought to with the state libraries. And then I'm also working on a directory which will complement the digital asset directory, and certainly all of the libraries that have digital assets will be part of that. But I've been doing site surveys, and I know that Mauricio last week went to another beautiful library in Sholo, and I would really like to put together a directory of libraries and their digital assets specifically, so that when we do have interprofessional teams of students and folks going out to use those assets, they know where they are.
Thank you,
That's
and I
my goal.
apologize, Janet. I skipped right over you, and I apologize.
Good thing I'm bossy. And I did put the other stuff in the chat, so please take a look at the events this week and a couple of new grants. Thanks.
Good, thanks. Nothing, anything else, Janet? Okay, let's move on. We don't have a lot of time left, but Heather, hopefully that you can make this fairly quick. So I want to introduce Heather Floyd, who's the public relations specialist with Valley Telecom Group. Heather has been a regular attendee with our task force and appreciate her participation, and thought we should hear about what they're doing, particularly down here in Southern Arizona. So with that, Heather, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great, I'm excited to be able to present. I've been following along with the group since August. I got a promotion in August to be the public relations specialist. I've been with Valley Telecom 5 years, so I am the rookie on the block. And, but I do come from a background of infrastructure. I had a 19-year career at Arizona Generation and Transmission Cooperative, which is the electric cooperative provider for the distribution electric co-ops in our state. So I am rural focused, always have been, and I enjoy being part of a member-owned organization yet again here with Valley. Our management team, it's super impressive to me that when I get them all in a room, I have over a century worth of experience. So they've been around a while, so I'm the rookie and I bring a fresh insight, but my management team certainly has been in this industry for a while. So let's see a little bit about us. We were formed in 1962 as a co-op to serve the rural members. In 1995, we bought some additional exchanges and we had Valley Telephone Cooperative and Copper Valley. In 2000, we all combined under one name to make things much easier, and it's Valley Telecom Group. And then we built out to some CLEC areas, was our first expansion in 2007. Let's get our next map. And here is a map of our areas. So what I got on the screen here is actually Arizona and New Mexico both showing. We serve Southeast Arizona and Northwest and Southwest New Mexico. It's about 10,000 square miles. So as we know on the East Coast, we incorporate several states in that size. Current members, we have 7,000 internet customers and 3,000 telephone customers. Here's a close-in shot. We have 13 ILACs, 4 CLACs, 2 of them are new. Tombstone was added in 2019. Thatcher, we just added this year. We do have local offices in our rural areas, Animas, New Mexico, Clifton, Arizona, Safford, Arizona, and Wilcox, Arizona is our headquarters. Here is a map of our long haul fiber. We start over here with El Paso and we come all the way down across the border. This comes through in Animas, New Mexico, and then down. This is Douglas, Arizona. Then we come up 191 and cross. This is Highway 82. Takes us over to Sonoyta area. Then we go back up. And this is Cerrito Road, south of Tucson. And we do also have fiber between Tucson and Nogales. This is more of a build out of where our fiber is serving our communities. We started with Sunsites, Arizona, Wilcox, Arizona, and Safford, Arizona being our fiber areas. But we are right now in the process of over the next 5 years in our areas that were our original ILACs that were getting served with DSL, we are upgrading 4,000 of those customers in a 5-year period to fiber internet as well. So these little blue lines keep getting added every month to see where we're at. Thatcher Project's the one I just mentioned. That was a $9 million investment that we made of our own funds this year. It's 48 miles worth of fiber going into that community. It passes 1,700 households. And I believe we have about 500 of them signed up on pre-signups. We have a picture here of County delivering a gift basket to our first hookup in Thatcher. It's exciting to get out there and see the effects we're having in the community. We're very involved in school education and support. We proactively put fiber to all of the schools we serve in our area within the past 5 years. Most of those were done on our dollars. A couple of those were E-rate special projects. Last year during the pandemic, it was impactful to all of us. We offered to all of our schools a $10,000 investment if they needed to get equipment for their students. 10 of those did take up that opportunity and supplied laptops and devices to their students. We do scholarships every year to students as well in excess of $125,000 to $150,000 annually. Both of those projects there are funded through our foundation, and our foundation is developed through unclaimed capital credits. So if somebody moves and doesn't give us a forwarding address, we put those funds into, when the capital credits are issued to them, we put them into a foundation. We also, through the foundation, have done things like expanded the AV audiovisual equipment in San Simon High School for about $145,000. I know in the auditorium in Animas, we also help them replace their curtains and things like that. So our schools are able to apply for foundation funds for those sort of upgrades. We're very involved locally. My CEO is also the board president for Northern Cochise Community Hospital. We have people on staff that are on city council. We have the Wilcox Vice Mayor. You see Karina here in the picture, serves on the Graham County Chamber Board. People are involved in the Wilcox Quarterback Club. We have people coaching Little League and high school sports, Elks Club, Shriners, Farm Bureau, cattle growers. These people that are our employees, we have 78, are their customers. They're also involved with our people. We live and work here. So we're very interested in making sure that our community is getting the best it can. The one thing I forgot to cover, I apologize, are different technologies. So I mentioned briefly here, our incumbent areas were DSL originally, and we're upgrading to the copper. We do have a couple wireless areas north of Wilcox and south of Wilcox and Tombstone, but we are looking to upgrade most of our areas to fiber. It's future-proof. It's getting the folks the technologies they need. I think I covered it all. Any questions about Valley Telecom?
Well, that was quick and succinct. Thank you.
I'm trying to do my part here.
Questions? Well, not hearing any, and I think we're done. Thank you, Heather. And
You're
thanks
very
for-
welcome.
thanks-
Hey, Steve,
thanks
I would like to thank Heather for all the work they've done for the education community down in the Cochise County area. They provided a lot of hotspots. They provided a lot of services. They've provided services at no cost to a lot of schools or to a lot of students out there that they don't talk about. So I want to thank you guys for all your work.
So,
Thank
so
you,
Mylan, is there some possible synergy there with the Final Mile project?
Oh yeah, there is. It's just a matter of the Final Mile project, defining a project in that area. We've already filed for one ECF project with utilizing Valley Telecom, and I'm going to check on it in a few minutes and see where its status is. But if that one's approved, that'll be in the Morenci area, but with Karina. But yeah, they've been good to work with. They do a good job. They're providing a good service. They love their customers, and their customers typically love them too. So they're appreciated.
There you go, Heather. Testimonial.
We're small but mighty, and I appreciate the kind words, Mylan.
Okay, Heather, can you stop sharing, please?
I will figure that out here in a second. It's giving me the option to resume share, but not stop share. We'll get me trained here in a minute. I got pause share is the only option I'm getting. Is that helping any?
No.
No, great.
Oh, here we go. I'll do it, I think.
Thank
Oh,
you.
There we go. Okay. All righty. So again, leadership team's going to meet on Thursday, the 18th. And hopefully we'll come back with some plans. It's going to be, this is preliminary. It's not going to be the end all and be all. We'll probably have 24 meetings. Only kidding, Karen. Hopefully in a couple of meetings that we can come up with a tentative plan on how we're going to move ahead and what the priorities are, and have kind of a vision for next year. So with that, is there any other announcements that anybody has?
Well, not that everybody else cares, but Steve, I did get excused from jury duty. That's why I'm here this morning. So
Oh, good.
to attend the meeting this week.
Great. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Anything else? Okay, so I'm going to stop recording now, and